It took me all weekend, but I sat through Rebel Moon Part 2. Oh, jeez. Razor Fist actually commented on this. I made a comment on Twitter. I should pull this up. And I guess I'll spoil my review right now with what I said about this because it's so ridiculous. And here you go. Finally finished Rebel Moon Part 2. It was better than Star Trek Discovery. And you can see Razor Fist says, finally got punched in the D. It was better than being run over by a tank. And that sums up the movie. So you can check out the review right now. It obviously sucked, and we're going to get into why it sucked as a professional science fiction writer and as a person who is a big fan of science fiction movies as well. It failed on every single level, shockingly. And that's the deal. But it's still better than Star Trek Discovery. So you can rest assured, Zack Snyder fans who are going to get mad at me in the comments over this. I am a science fiction writer, as I mentioned. My name is John Delarose, and this is my Justified Saga, the Nano Templar. If Zack Snyder chose to just make this trilogy as films, it would have been way better. and you can check this out yourself. You could see competent storytelling with characters you actually like for a reason. They actually overcome stuff. It's good stuff. This is quality writing. If you love science fiction like Star Wars or anything like Warhammer, you'll absolutely love this. So I'm going to put this link in the description below. Please check out the book. It's paperback, Kindle. I've got an audiobook version of it. I guarantee you'll enjoy this. I've written 18 science fiction novels. And so if you can rest assured, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff, and that's why I'm going to do this review for you, so you don't have to watch this. Now, there will be spoilers of this, so if you care, like it's a really thin plot. It's not like there's much of a plot anyway. This was Zack Snyder wanted to make a Star Wars movie, and George Lucas said no, and back in the day. And so then he decided to approach Netflix and get them to give him a huge budget to do this. And it turned into a cluster debacle just like Justice League was. Now he claims there's going to be a rated R version that's going to explain everything and make it better because it's going to be an hour longer for both parts. And just like Justice League was an hour longer of shit. It was just a longer, crappier movie. And that's what we're probably going to get here. Now, in the first part, I kind of remember it. It was very unmemorable. But I guess we start off with, like, there's this chick. She's on a moon. They're farming shit. And then she's going to go protect them because, like, they're being shaken down by this evil space admiral who's very white and very Nazi because they're so diverse. And then she goes and finds a ragtag band of crew to try to help. And it's really weird because it a lot of it doesn't work the way that Star Wars worked and had, that rebel sort of ragtag band work because Star Wars didn't go through and set up all the characters and how they all got together. I mean, they kind of did, like Luke joined, but the rebels were already there. This didn't have that. You had a farming village and you've got a few people coming to save the farming village. And it doesn't make any sense because all these trained Space Marines just can't hold a candle to people who have never, like, even, fired weapons in their lives at all. So they do that. They had a battle at the end of the first one with her, like, rebel group. A lot of the rebels died, but she got some friends out of it, a nice lesbian friend, a black friend. You know how it goes. It's very important to have all those. A Native American sort of friend. And yes, very diverse and very inclusive group against these white villains. And so she looked like she killed the dude at the end, but he has like some magical tank that can revive him even though he's killed. They were trying to, Darth Vader it, how Anakin, got his robot body and all that. But he literally was just magically revived is what happened. And so then we start the movie here. And you'd think, okay, so, she failed to kill him. They're going to come back. They're going to try to blow up the planet. And then she's going to kill him this time. And that is the plot of the movie. Now, this is 2 hours plus. So Zack Snyder couldn't do that in 2 hours plus because literally this is just the last act of one movie. It's not really its own movie. And this is exactly where it fails immediately because this doesn't work without the first movie at all. You are just in the middle of a movie and it just stopped. And now it's just the final act. So all of this should have just been cut down like crazy. So you could get maybe 2.5 hours out of the original, and it would have been fine. But Zack wanted to put in all these characters you don't care about. You got the Asian lady with the lightsabers. You got this guy. And they all exist, and they all need to have their moment, and they all need to have their backstories because of this. So this is where the movie starts out at a flawed premise to begin with, because it's a simple film, and a simple film should really be about 2 hours total, and we're now on like 5 hours of this content. It doesn't make any sense from that level. So it starts out with a struggle session, and all these characters are sitting around a table. Here's our Native American friend. It looks like this action is like the last 30 minutes of this film. They sit around a table for the most part of this film. It's not this part. And all these pictures of action are a little deceiving because you don't get any action. Here's them sitting around a table. And they all have a little struggle session where they all are like, oh, these bad space Nazis oppressed me. Here's how I was oppressed. And they go back and he does flashback scenes for every single one of them. And you don't care about them to begin with. I mean, you have the last movie. She showed up. She grabbed them all. They all like the Native American guy rode the never-ending story monster. This lady killed a big spider creature. The black guy was fighting in an arena, and he's so wise and great. And so and then the lesbian is the best fighter out of all of them. And of course. And so that's what you learned in the first film, and you really didn't care about these characters. She was just assembling these people who don't really matter in order to be a part of this team. It was not like Star Wars at all, where you got Luke and you really connect with him. The farm boy Luke, he wanted to be a pilot. He was going to go out anyway. He's got piloting skills. We know why he's out there. It made a lot more sense than this Cora chick. Who then we have to explain her backstory in this, too, in one of the struggle sessions. And it turns out she killed the princess, or allegedly, and that was part of the royal family death that left a power vacuum to where these militaristic people are taking over at this point. And so she's kind of responsible for all this stuff in her little struggle session, we find out. And so she's very sad about it. Her boyfriend likes it, and then we see them in bed together, naked. And it's just, and and that's that. She's the only person who really matters out of all of this. Like, if you really focus the narrative on her and didn't spend 30 minutes going on everybody else's backstory, you could have cut this, and it could have at least you might have cared about her a little bit more. But because there's so many of these, they all are back to back struggle sessions, and worse, every single one of them has slow motion. There's a point where the slow motion is just so rampant, it's not even used effectively or artistically. It's just he just is let's slow mo them picking their teeth right now. I mean, I'm joking about it, but it's that much slow motion, and so it slows down the film so much. You're sitting there going, please just get to the freaking fight. And so all these characters are people you don't care about, and the film is not going anywhere. And then we learn that the bad guy's going to show up in 3-4 days. And so the wise black man is okay, well, let's work on the grain, and we're going to store the grain in an area so that you can there's our wise black man, so that you can won't get bombarded from orbit, because they care about the grain. And I'm what's the deal with the grain? Why does the grain matter that much? It's kind of weird. Okay. We learn it doesn't by the end, because guess what? But here's it gets crazy. So they all start harvesting grain. They have 3 days left to do things. They're harvesting as fast as they can. He's training some people with weapons while they're harvesting. The montage scene doesn't make sense. If you were going to train a village to fight, you'd need months to do so, and months of prep. And so the timetable just doesn't work as a film. And so you're sitting there none of these people have ever fired weapons before. They've never killed anybody before. And they're going to learn to fight in 2-3 days against trained Marines and all that. They actually build out tunnels under the ground that they have explosives in. Where do they have the time to do this if they're harvesting the grain too? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Moreover, they're all hand harvesting grain with these wooden tools, and they're putting them on hover carts. If they have hover carts and crap, why don't they just have machines to harvest this shit for them? That also doesn't make sense. Then they've got the robot, who's part of the last film, and he just stands there the whole time. Like, why aren't they having the robot do this crap? It's like, why is he just standing there? And he stands there for like, and he's just shown like looking over them as they're slaving away during the work. I mean, this is not, the world building really makes no sense. He wanted this like gritty Firefly fantasy feel, for like, but like this agrarian like land place, but he doesn't have any, like they've got technology, so like they've got the technology to just like heal somebody like from nothing on the spaceship. So it's like, why? And that's the whole deal. Nothing really works out and nothing makes sense once you start to break it down. And you kind of look at the world building of like the Emperor and things like that, and you kind of look at their background. None of that ends up making sense either. Like it's just like he put in some stuff that he thought looked visually kind of cool, and then put no thought into it whatsoever, all the way across the board. And so it's a disaster on the world building level. It's a disaster on the pacing level as we're now getting into the last half hour of film. And okay, so we got a fight now. And then the fight is so over the top, which, I don't mind the over the top campy fighting. I mean, Michael Bay, yay, whatever. But he does it in, again, so much slow motion that it lessens the impact. And it also like is not done right either. It looks like they land a few drop ships. Well, once they get past those drop ships, like there's all these like giant like AT-AT clone type of things that are supposed to be very threatening, and giant weapons. Where'd they come from? I didn't see the ship drop any more ships. Like, I mean, they just showed up and they just keep coming relentlessly, even though they only put down like a skeleton force at the beginning, and they did not show them dropping any more stuff. So a failure on the fight level making sense as well. Now they go up and Cora goes up to the ship. And they do a whole, like, we're going to blow up the ship and blow up with the guy on it. And she does so and then makes a bunch of noise while she's trying to be, like, incognito and, like, jumps down into, like, a pit of a bunch of people rather than just running off and trying to get off the ship after the explosions that are on there that's going to sink the ship anyway. Like, I don't know why she did that again. It just doesn't make any sense other than he wanted to show her jumping into a pit and firing weapons, which didn't make, it just doesn't work. Oh, she's so stunning and brave. Oh, I should mention, there's a point in the film, like right before they're about to attack, like she's looking at the ship in the sky, and then she goes inside and she like cuts her hair off. She like her hair in the first half and all this like looked okay, and then she wanted to look like a lesbian space Nazi, just like the main villain. Like she has the same haircut now, and she cut off her hair right before that happened, like as the ship's descending from this, like shouldn't you be grabbing your weapons or like preparing or something? Like why are you cutting your hair right now? Nothing makes sense about this film, and it's such a trite light film of yes, it's literally just a spaceship coming and they're gonna kill all the villagers just to get at her, and she needs to kill the spaceship first. That's all the plot is. It's really, which is fine. I would love if this was just a simple thing. But he made it so convoluted and complicated with all these characters showing up all the time for no reason. And finally, after 20 minutes of all these villagers fighting and dying, and some of our characters die, the lightsaber lady dies, the robot comes out. It's like, well, what were you doing? Where were you? And finally, he fights the AT-AT thing himself and jumps and slaughters like a whole regiment of these Space Marines. If he can do that, why is he just hiding the whole time up till this point? None of the fights make sense. None of the tactics make sense. And again, the timetable, like none of these people should be able to fight or anything like that in 3 days' time while harvesting grain. So it doesn't make sense on that level either. Finally, the ship's like, you know what, F it, we're going to bombard the planet because we don't need the grain anyway. Wait, if she's down there and you're going to bombard the planet anyway, why didn't you just do that to begin with instead of going down there and getting your men slaughtered? Like, that was stupid. I mean, okay, if you don't want the grain for real, like the entire plot just got invalidated by that move. I get it, the guy's crazy or whatever, but the ship then starts to explode, and instead of just like running off the ship, Cora and her boyfriend like slide down this like gravity problems that are happening, and she decides to fight the main villain like in hand-to-hand combat as the ship's crashing, rather than just like getting off there and just being like peace like right away. And he doesn't try to get off the ship either. They both really want to kill each other in personal hand-to-hand combat, even though the ship's going down. Like, don't get off the ship. Really stupid, again. And so it didn't make sense. Now, some of the visuals in that were kind of cool, I guess, and I guess that's a saving grace of that final battle there. But it reminded me of like Star Trek Into Darkness when Spock's fighting hand to hand on top of the Enterprise that's crashing. It's like, why would Spock do that? That's not logical. And if she's a trained warrior killer and all that, this is not a logical, it's not a good tactical thing. The same with the Admiral. It's a terrible tactics. So it was just a fail all the way around. And again, you had to sit through an hour and a half of like backstory struggle sessions, sitting and harvesting grain, and nothing happening in order to get to this half an hour of over-the-top campy, stupid fighting to begin with. So it just a nightmare of a mess. So it sets up at the end like her boyfriend dies, and for some reason she can't save him with the ectoplasm, whatever the hell it is. And he, everybody can die except for when it's plot convenient. They have no technology otherwise when it's plot convenient to have no technology. And then she learns that the princess actually might be alive, and they have to go find her now to save the galaxy. And they're going to do it, I guess, in the next film if Netflix picks this up, which hopefully they don't. Disaster of a movie. This part 2, again, like part 1 was tolerable, but part 2 is just the most insufferable movie I've watched in a long, long time. Star Trek Discovery is worse. However, Star Wars The Last Jedi is better. And that is where this film lies at the end of the day. Whew. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this, my friends. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out a way, way better space opera, Justified Saga of the Nano Templar. You'll be satisfied with this. It's fast-paced. It's well-written. Good characters. Thank you.